Okay, good to go.
Okay, great. I think we're going to go ahead and get started. Hawela Shemitanyu Konskatsi Hanka, Keir Johnson-Reyes, and Osage, and I'm the Director of the Technical Assistance Program for Intertribal Agriculture Council. I'd like to have my colleagues introduce themselves. Emily, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Emily Luscombe. I know probably quite a few of you who are on, and I am the Natural Resources Director at the Intertribal Agriculture Council.
Great. And Padgley.
Hello, my name is Padgley Gonzales. I'm a Technical Assistance Specialist for the Intertribal Ag Council in the Western region, which covers Arizona and Utah, and I'm a member of the Gila River Indian community.
Our colleague Natalie Solares might join as well. She's a new Technical Assistance Specialist for the Pacific region. We can go to the next slide. So Intertribal Agriculture Council was founded in 1987 as a result of the ag crisis. We had native farmers and ranchers from the Rocky Mountain and Dakotas region of the country, working in coordination with Congress and Bureau of Indian Affairs to really identify key issues that were at play in disabling tribal producers from receiving aid in that very challenging time. And through collaboration and coordination and coalition building, Intertribal Agriculture Council was formed. And what's unique about our organization is that we are made up of tribal delegates from across the country. So tribal councils will sanction individuals to speak on behalf of their tribe or work with IAC formally in a board position or help to shape our annual playbook through participation formally in our annual caucuses that take place alongside our annual conference every year in December. So we've got a unique makeup that really helps us to be at the forefront of Indian country policy work in the country pertaining to the USDA Farm Bill. Our mission is to pursue and promote the conservation, development, and use of agricultural resources for the benefit of our people. And we've grown steadily through time to really be that one of the key voices in Indian agriculture and food systems, as well as natural resources in government and non-governmental circles across the country. Next slide. So our program areas cover the span of policy and communications. We'll go into this in greater depth, so I'm just going to kind of fly over it. Youth and professional development, natural resource programming, American Indian foods, domestic and international marketing, as well as our technical assistance network, which really touches into each of those program areas, as well as provides direct USDA technical assistance on the ground to individual tribal producers, as well as tribal governments. And we focus a lot on USDA programs and services, as well as identifying supplemental resources for tribal food systems initiatives across Indian country. And policy and communications, as I mentioned briefly, really focuses on influencing the USDA Farm Bill legislation, youth programming. We'll talk a bit more about supporting the next generation native farmers and ranchers. There'll be some slides on natural resource programming, as well as focusing in on American Indian foods. So I'll turn it over at this point. Go ahead.
All right. For IAC's legal and policy work, it really stands on advocacy for the 2023 Farm Bill priorities through the Native and that stands on the work from the 2018 Farm Bill that IAC and the Native Farm Bill Coalition did, which resulted in 63 tribal-specific provisions included in that Farm Bill. They also do research with our partners at the Indigenous Food and Agriculture Initiative, which is in the realm of legal and programmatic work with IFAI. as well as policy creation through the connections on the Hill with other organizations as well, ensuring that tribal priorities are included, and then also taking a stand with federal accountability by responding to requests for information and sending letters of support for legislation to shape federal rulemaking. And then next is the IAC TA network, and you'll see that it is a network made up of 12 folks throughout the entire nation, and there's 12 of us out there. So I'm a TA with IAC in the Western region, and you'll see that that's covering Arizona and Utah, but we also have a TA in all the other highlighted regions out there. So what we do in the TA network is provide USDA technical assistance, tribal outreach, and resource identification for individual tribal producers. And we support tribal food sovereignty initiatives throughout Indian country. We also represent tribes on state and national level agriculture-related initiatives, and we provide on-the-ground coordination with all IAC programs to support producer engagement, as well as working with Native youth in food and agriculture to mentor and provide leadership development for them. And then through the TA network and all the other amazing folks at IAC, we've been able to provide over 10,000 tribal producers, tribal entities, and partners with assistance throughout the 12 BIA regions in each year. We're also engaging with over 500 youth across the nation through various programming, and we've had an economic impact in Indian country of over $10 million with USDA loan and conservation programs. For our IAC youth programming, it's pretty robust. We offer IAC youth equity grants to youth in 4-H and FFA that have gone through a USDA FSA youth loan. We also had the Food for Families program, which was really at its height during the pandemic. We provided financial assistance to youth in 4-H and FFA to get their animals processed, and that allowed them to market their animals at local shows and really create an impact within their community and their local food system. And for high school students, we offer the Native Youth Conference, which also has an essay component, and we choose winners and we invite youth out to the conference and have a youth conference that coincides with our annual conference in Las Vegas, where they can network and learn a lot about how to, expand any sort of agricultural operations or food sovereignty projects that they may be working on. And we have regional Native Youth Food Sovereignty Summits throughout the year in each region, which really allow culturally relevant and immersive experiences for all age youth in their regions to participate in and network with IAC folks, and as well as get USDA education while they're there. Overall, we provide a lot of assistance for ag and food projects in tribal communities, and we offer Native students in college and high school natural resource internships, which you'll hear about in the next slide from Emily. And then we also support the Native Youth in Food and Agriculture Leadership Conference, which is hosted by the Indigenous Food and Agriculture Initiative, which is every July, and we really work to provide college-age youth to learn about all the diverse aspects of Indian agriculture, which spans from conservation to business development and food and nutrition. So that's just a little bit about the IAC youth programs. And Emily will take the next slide.
Hi, so this is just a spotlight on one of our interns. We had 16 intern slots for this summer, and they ranged from high school students to students who had recently completed college and were looking to refine what they wanted to do, whether they were going to go to grad school or move into a career. And we've chosen this spotlight because this is someone from this region who did a really phenomenal job. And Kara is from the Washoe tribe, and she did a project on food sovereignty, and she was working with the community garden on her reservation there and delivering food to elders and working with elders on traditional foods and healthier foods. And she was also working on teaching the children how to harvest seeds and about the foods that they were eating so that this would help carry on into the next generation. And she focused on medicinal and edible plants. So she is one of the 16 And I believe that there were about 5 in this region, Keir. Am I correct?
Let's see. I think we had 3 in this region.
Okay, but we've had up to 5, I believe, right?
Oh yeah, every year we have probably between 2 and 5 per summer.
So this is a program that is really helpful to the youth because it has a component where they have a work site that they're working with. They're partnered with an NRCS office, so they get to see how things work on a national government level. They have a capstone project that they work on and a presentation that they do, so it really helps prepare a lot. And there are a number of staff at IAC that actually started out as interns in this program, and also a number of staff in some of the tribal environmental programs who started out that way as well. And so this is something that you may want to help promote to the rest of your communities out there, and see if you have any interested youth. And it could be anything related to agriculture. So it doesn't have to be that they want to be a producer themselves. It might be that they're interested in agricultural finance or agricultural education or the health aspect of the nutrition. So this can help promote a lot of students. I'm so glad Natalie was able to join us. She got on. All right, next slide, please. And so I run the Natural Resources Department, and we're a smaller department than the Technical Assistance Department. We have 3 people and 1 person who's sort of part-time there with us. But we work with all of the other departments on those programs and kind of jump in and provide more specialized assistance on things. And so we do a lot of things on regenerative agricultural practices and conservation planning. And so that is either with a tribe, with an individual producer, or through a larger outreach event. We do climate adaptation and mitigation assistance. So if people are wondering about how to deal with a microclimate or what things might look like in their area with modeling for what they could actually grow in the future with the weather patterns and drought conditions, things like that, things with dealing with wildfire and smoke and how that impacts crops. So we can give a lot of advice on those things and help people research stuff. And we also do the youth programming and the internships. Some of those run through our department as well. And we do outreach and education. So we do anything where people need someone to come and present. So if you're doing an event on climate change, say at an Earth Day, and you want one of us to be there and be able to come and talk about the ways that agriculture can help mitigate climate change and the different practices that are helpful in that area, then you can come and ask us and we can present at that. We also put on some events ourselves, and we do a lot of outreach and education through things like the IFAI program at University of Arkansas, like we were talking about earlier. And we also do healthy soils outreach. So we work with people on what they can do to build their soils and what depletes them and how they can have that healthy living network in the soil, that soil food web with all of the microbiome being healthy and how that impacts the plants, how it helps with pest management, all of those things. And within that, we also can give assistance on integrated pest management practices. And we can give advice to individual producers. So we've had a number of producers already who have called us and said things like, I just got access to this plot of land and I've never produced anything before. Where should I start? So for instance, one producer didn't have any water rights to that land. So it ended up that they needed to start with figuring out how to get the water rights and being able to grow something there. And then we came up with a plan of things that they could do with minimal amounts of water. Another producer, it was just that there was no organic matter in the soil. So it was, putting some compost down, building up the soil a little bit, and they didn't have very high nitrogen. So we were talking about, growing legumes as a cover crop to start with. So it can be very individualized, and it does not have to be just a tribal member. We can help if you're putting in a community garden or you're trying to do like a little value added product in a farmer's market, things like that. Anything that you want to be more regenerative and sustainable, we can provide assistance. And we can also provide some assistance on water quality. So I've had a lot of questions from people both about water rights and about water quality because they're starting to irrigate. They want to do something that's organic, but they're surrounded in an area by agriculture that uses pesticides. So they wanted to know when to test the water, what to test it for, how to do that, where they would take it to the lab, what they should be expecting the cost to be, those kind of things. So we can provide assistance with all of that as well. And then we've been working a lot on traditional ecological knowledge and connections. And one of our staff members has worked on native plant nurseries and is very knowledgeable on native plants and TEK. And so we are also happy to help people make those connections and find the places to go if they would like to incorporate more of that into their programs. Next slide. And so this one I just thought everyone would enjoy, because this is, all of the agriculture in the US was sustainable before colonization. And so a lot of this is about how do we get back to that? How do we be more sustainable? And then the next slide, as you can see, what a small percentage, and I know that this is preaching to the choir, what a small percentage is now where tribes actually have control of helping get that back. But every acre can make a difference. When agriculture, it can really help and mitigate climate change impacts. And when it's not done correctly, it can deplete the soil, deplete the water, deplete the air, and be one of the largest contributors to climate change. Next slide. All right. And then the American Indian Foods Program is another one of our departments. And Latasha wasn't able to be here with us today, but she did provide some slides and some information for us to give. And so I just need to open that. So the introduction to this program is this was not established initially when IAC was established. It came about in 1998 under a contract with the USDA Foreign Agriculture Service with a mission to promote and market the various agricultural products produced by American Indian and Alaska Native villages while sharing the vibrant and unique cultures and traditions of American Indians with the world. Through AIF, IAC builds sustainable economic development opportunities in Indian agriculture by linking producers and their products to international and domestic consumers for global exports and trade. And AIF has a multi-pronged approach, working in sync to increase producers' understanding of key marketing concepts and offer strategies to increase a producer's visibility and brand awareness on a global scale. The programs that are currently offered are the Export Program, the Native Food Connection, the Made by American Indian Certification Trademark, and the Regen Nation Seal and Pledge. The Export Program is funded through the USDA Foreign Ag Service, in which we provide members a platform to showcase their products and culture across the globe. We work closely with the foreign ag trade offices, consultants, and embassies and trade groups to identify market opportunities, host foreign buyer and industry leader meet and greets, assist with consumer lead generation, and additional activities that increase global market opportunities. Activities include global trade shows, reverse trade missions, menu promotion or technical training, and global ready export education and training. The Native Food Connection through IAC amplifies public awareness of Native American and Alaskan Native ag businesses in collaboration with tribal partners and Native-led organizations. IAC and AIF opens a new market for opportunities for tribal producers while reframing the growing Native culinary movement to encompass the entire spectrum of the Indian ag food sector. And major Native Food Connection objectives are the facilitation of market access for Native products and services, featuring products and Native organizations, sponsored conferences or events, support for more effective branding or trademarking of products, and producer marketing and education, and the utilization of a Native Connection food box to educate the public about the value and the quality of Native foods. The Made or Produced by an American Indian trademark is a trademark that is promoted and marketed heavily through the program and has been formally approved as a successful trademark and marketed since 1993. And it is signifying that a product is made or produced by an American Indian. And this can be food products, and it can also be arts and crafts. And so I know that that really applies to a lot of people in this region. So any sort of basketry or beadwork or any other kind of Native American produced art and craft. And then the Regen Nation Seal just launched this year on Earth Day. And this is a seal and pledge. And this is about trying to bring back environmental stewardship and bring back the regenerative agricultural techniques that were traditional ecological knowledge initially. And it complements the American Indian food programs. It can be done in conjunction with the trademark. It doesn't have to be something that's separate. It's a very simple pledge that people can work with. And it works in tandem with animals, land, water, crops to develop a mutually beneficial relationship in tune with the environment and the self. So this is about helping producers to work in a more ecologically sustainable manner. And this is something that we help them with and we guide them. It's not just an application that they submit and it's gone. We work on it through our department as well as through the American Indian Foods Department, and we work with those producers to help them become more sustainable. And it's about showing that you value a genuine connection with the ecosystems and the local and global community that is being promoted by that well-being. And it provides a renewal of ancient native-led wisdom in many agricultural endeavors that returns to the type of practices that have been regenerative in nature and in generations to come. And producers have to be willing to provide their vision statement and their goals in terms of their regenerative agricultural endeavors. So that is the primary thing that is required here. And I'm just going to copy a link and I'm going to put it in the chat. This is a link here to the producers list. So anyone who would like to support the American Indian trademark producers, this is a list of all the producers so that you can find their products more easily. And this is, the link to the trademark directory is also there. And I just think that this is something that has a lot of value to small tribes in terms of if you want to do some value added products, you want to do farmers market, this is a way to get your name out there. It's a way to be able to get people to recognize your product and what you're doing. And especially when this is being done as part of a cultural project or a grant, it can help you to leverage what you're doing by being able to say, I'm actually part of this program. Like I've been certified. And the same thing with the Regen Nation pledge and seal is that that's something that we can help provide outreach to you. So that can be an individual producer, but it can also be a tribe that is wanting to get a grant. Say that you want to get a grant from a foundation because you're providing this community garden and you want to have a healthier community. That's an opportunity for us to be able to do a producer highlight, to put it on the web page, to be able to have something that you can access and show that you're part of this program and leverage that. So these are very available to tribes and not just large agricultural producers.
IEC helped to incubate a native CDFI, Community Development Financial Institution, and it now stands on its own. It's independent from IEC. I'm going to put the link to the CDFI into the chat. What's unique about the approach of Occupton, it's a Lakota word for joining together, is that we really have designed the loan programming to be extremely responsive to unique Indian country producer contexts. And so we have an investment model that really looks at slower finance terms. So a lot of the commercial credit or even federal credit have terms that aren't necessarily as responsive to the unique production contexts of producers within Indian country context, but then also sometimes there's not the responsiveness, especially on the commercial side, to some of the unique agricultural contexts of producers in general. So the terms are competitive at 5%. Federal credit through Farm Service Agency is going to be better than that, but they don't have the ability to kind of really work alongside producers and be responsive to issues that may come up. And really there's a small and dedicated team at this CDFI that we've helped incubate and stand on its own, that really helps to be very cognizant of the unique needs of tribal producers. And so it's an opportunity. And they're also extremely interested in innovative projects and different opportunities to really grow Indian country food businesses and production goals of tribal producers. So it's something that we're really glad to have been a part of. And we work with the Native CDFI network nationally, and this is one of the tools in the toolbox, so to speak, that we definitely are proud to have been a part of developing. Next slide.
All right, next is a slide about online resources for tribes and tribal producers. So IEC has a Mighty Network. It's an online learning platform. And the curriculum on there is curated by IEC staff, and there's workshops that you can access on regenerative agriculture, developing a tribal cooperative, grant writing 101, and farming 101. There's a sign up link right here. If someone can put that in the chat. I don't have access to the chat, I don't think, so I would put a link in there, but I don't. But it's a great place to go and learn and see all the work that we do and how we've translated that into curriculum for folks to access whenever they would like to. And then we also have a YouTube channel. There's like hours of content on there from previous conferences, webinars, and presentations that have gone on. I think yesterday I saw that we posted like a cooking video out in the Navajo Nation. So if you're interested in something like that and food sovereignty work and everything, there's some great videos on there. We also have a newsletter. If you go online to indianag.org, it's probably one of the pop-ups that'll show when you get on there. Go ahead and sign up for that for weekly updates and policy briefs that come out every month. And then follow us on Facebook and Instagram for updates and, notices and just information about webinars that we have upcoming and, just to stay up to date with whatever IAC is doing. And then next in December, we have our IAC annual conference. It's going to be taking place in Las Vegas at the Virgin Hotels. Capacity is limited this year, so make sure you sign up. I have a QR code right there for you to visit the registration page and see what pricing is and all that. Our theme this year is original land steward, so we're really going to be paying close attention to regenerative agriculture and stewardship and really bringing that message home to you all. So if you're able to attend, it will be December. And yeah, we'll look forward to that event and seeing if any of you all are able to make it there. And there you go.
And so we talked about this a little bit right up front of our presentation. We're a membership-based organization. All 574 federally recognized tribes constitute IAC's membership in terms of how we approach our policy work and advocacy work. IAC also offers voting member delegate membership, which is a formal process engaging the tribal council or leadership to designate a delegate and an alternate, to participate in our annual caucus process, which is region specific and convened by the board member, respective of the region. And that more enhanced engagement with us enables tribes to really be at the cutting edge of Indian agriculture and food systems by helping to design and help co-create the marching orders for the organization collectively, and really help to contribute to that unified voice. As Padgley had mentioned earlier in the presentation, through the convening powers of Intertribal Agriculture Council and our partners, we formed the Native Farm Bill Coalition that brought about 63 tribe-specific provisions. So I'm echoing what she shared, but that's just emphasizing that's really the power of our collective here. And so we're very open to always growing our voting member delegate tribes to be helping to inform what we do on a grander scale. And I'm going to go ahead and put the direct link. We did have the updated 2021 membership voting member delegate information included on our annual conference and affiliated materials page. I think it's under the membership page actually, but it's something to bring back to your tribes and tribal leadership. And we've had EPA directors speak on behalf of the tribe on those matters when delegated to do so. Local producers, people that are in other departments, tribal leadership themselves. So the makeup of who represents the tribe is very, of course, reflective of the unique circumstances of the tribe. But we're really glad to continue to elevate more and more voices around Indian country agriculture and food systems through this formal process. And again, we update our playbook on an annual basis, reflective of the feedback that we received through the annual caucus process. And this year will be the first year that we're formally waiving. We had a $200 fee, which was, of course, not meant to be cost prohibitive, but that's now been waived indefinitely. So our board of directors doesn't want to have any barrier to any tribe participating as a voting member tribe across the country. And so for the foreseeable future, there's no dues. It's just keeping up with the appropriate, point of contact and delegate and or alternate on an annual basis, and ensuring that documentation's maintained at our national level. So that's all I have to say on that. We move on to the next one, and I want to give Natalie an opportunity to introduce herself as the new Pacific Region point of contact here. So Natalie, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. My name is Natalie Solares. My maternal lineage is Zapotec from the valleys of Oaxaca, Mexico. My paternal is from Guatemala. I'm currently located in Paris, California, Southern California, the traditional homelands of Cahuilla and Luiseños. And I'm really excited to be here. I will be supporting the tribes in California and Nevada, and I look forward to working with all of you. My email information is located here on the contacts page, and please feel free to reach out to me.
So much. So we're really appreciative of everybody's time and attention today, and we'd be glad to open it up for questions, or I'll turn it over to my colleagues here if they have anything else that they'd like to share to wrap us up.
I'd just like to know if anyone has any questions or comments, or if there's any services that they want to know if we can provide for them. If you're thinking about doing some community gardens, or you want to apply for an EQIP grant or another NRCS program, you're working on a climate change program, is there anything that people would like to have questions answered on? And you can put them in the chat, and I'll watch the chat.
One thing I'd also like to draw folks' attention to is that coming up in a very short while here, let's see if I've got the date handy for everybody. Yeah, next Thursday, 9 to noon, we'll have the NRCS California Tribal Advisory Committee meeting. And so that's continued to grow, and the pandemic has really helped to enable folks who may not have been able to participate otherwise get involved. So we currently have probably about 20 or so tribes represented in the state. It's state specific, and not all states convene, formal tribal advisory committees across the country, but California does. So if you're in California and are interested in participating in that, I'll try to put some information in the chat here on that. But if anything, I saw that Emily provided all of our email addresses, so you can reach out to us afterwards and get you that information if that's of interest. So again, that's next Thursday, the 28th. And that's convened by the state conservationist, who's the state director for NRCS. And with Tribal EPA, personnel, NRCS's programming, is very strategic in really looking at to address land management and conservation related concerns through their environmental quality incentives program. It's not a direct fit in certain instances, and it's reimbursement incentive payments. So it's not a grant. That environmental quality incentives program is not a grant. It's, you got to put the money up first and then get reimbursed. But it is a way to do more work for cheaper, and it's a strong resource there. And it's a technical assistance based agency, so there's a lot of focus that they can put on that, depending on the tribal context. And yeah, someone else like to talk a little bit about the upcoming summit?
Thank you, Padgley, for posting the flyer on there. So November 9th and 10th will be our Pacific Region Summit. The focus will be on drought resources and water rights. Feel free to to register, and we look forward to seeing you there. We'll be virtual.
And Pacific region is technically California and Nevada, but this is virtual, so it is open to anyone nationally who wants to join. And we will be doing some things related to climate change and soil health and regenerative agriculture as well, but it is going to be focusing on drought, water rights, arid lands, and climate change this year, because I know that those are issues that are on the top of everybody's mind. And so we hope that we can see you there. And we hope that we get to see you at the annual conference, and it will be available in person, but there is also virtual registration for those people who are not able to travel at this time.
It's nice to see familiar names on the attendees list there. I'm sure that Emily, you're seeing some folks that we both worked with for quite some time.
Of them.
Yeah.
It is really nice to see everybody's names, and I hope that we could see you at the conference. It would be great to actually see people in person again.
Yep. Just emphasizing that cutoff too, and I think it's been mentioned, but just that we're going to be probably at a third of our capacity in person this year, just because of the pandemic.
Yeah, and we are, specifically covering some issues related to drought and climate change, and all sorts of issues with water policy, things like that. So there should be plenty of GAP eligible topics at this conference. So anyone who has not been able to attend conferences in person and has a travel budget that they need to spend down with GAP, this is going to be an in-person opportunity where you may be able to get your project officer to replace one of those other ones that didn't happen or went virtual with this.
All right. I think that's all we got, huh?
Sure that we had left some time in case anyone had any specific projects that they had questions about. So.
Sure.
All right. Well, thank you all very much for attending, and please reach out to us with anything that you have questions about. Anytime that you need some outreach assistance, please feel free to reach out. And most of you have my number. It's on the slide as well, although I know it got a little bit fuzzy when it showed on here, unless that was just my internet being funky. But I did put the emails in the chat again. So my phone number and my email will always be the same.
Excellent. All righty. Thank you all.
Oh, wait, we have a question.
Oh, got a question. All right.
If we register someone for the conference and they're unable to attend, can we send a substitute for our annual conference? I would assume that we can switch in attendance, but
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
We just work with our national staff and do a switcheroo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you want to put someone in as a placeholder, you don't know who you're going to send, that should be fine. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.